All right, y'all. Greetings, 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 greetings. Welcome to another episode. All right. This is your real estate queen, T Crush Realty. Um, I am streaming on probably three different platforms at one time. So, welcome if you're brand new and if you're in the building. Let me make sure I can turn this phone up so y'all can hear me. Hold on one second. Yeah, let's turn that up. So hopefully I can be heard, y'all. So everybody, welcome to another episode. Today's topic, this is Real Estate Wednesday. I was supposed to try to do this at 7 p.m. I didn't get here until later. I was actually going to do some work in the backyard. That did not happen. Yeah, I'm very tired, but I'm pushing through for you all. So I hope you can appreciate this. Okay? I'm very tired. Making sure I can be heard, y'all. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow me if you're on TikTok, on my TikTok platform. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to try to switch over to my real estate channel too because I'm on YouTube as well. And I just want to say thank you for everybody that has supported any one of the platforms. I greatly appreciate you. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about inspections and misconceptions. All right. You're going to see me look this way and this way because, like I said, I'm streaming on multiple devices. Again, that is inspections and misconceptions, guys. We're going to do like a little review of someone's video that they posted. Okay. And I think this is very important to do this because a lot of times people get the wrong idea about home ownership or home purchasing. So I think it's very important to start talking about these things, y'all. Okay. So, first of all, I want to say that whenever you get an inspection, congratulations, because that means that more than likely you're under contract. Okay. And I need to do a live stream about what happens once we go under contract because a lot of people probably don't know. It's a lot of information to take in. So, this is why I'm having these live streams so that everybody is aware of what to expect, especially if it's your first time, you've never done it before. And if it's been a while, you might have forgotten some things. Sometimes people go through stuff and they don't remember everything that has gone on. Excuse me if I put sunshades on because I'm looking tired in the eyes. All right, so guys, I actually wanted to share a video with you all like we did last time on the last episode where a lady she's talking about her purchase. She's a first time home buyer and she just purchased a house. So excuse me if you hear it playing in the background, but I'm going to bring this up. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. So if you're on TikTok, you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear it. My apologies for that, okay? Because right now I don't know how to stream to TikTok. I wish I could stream to TikTok on my laptop and share the video with y'all, but I'm not able to do that right now. So we'll figure it out. All right. So I'm going to bring this video up and we're going to talk about what to expect when you have your home inspections, okay? Because actually, I have a walkthrough that's scheduled this Sunday, and then closing is going to be on, I think, Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. I got to double check again. And so, this is the reason for the inspection, guys, because you want to make sure that house is intact, okay, the way that you expect it to be before you sign those final documents. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. Hold on one second. Excuse me for making my way into it. We're going to get to it. All right, y'all, because I know y'all are anticipating and I don't want to drag this out too much. I might have a delivery coming. Okay. So I might have to get up for a second and go and get my delivery. Here we go. Sharing the screen. Again, if you're on TikTok, you'll be able to hear it, but you won't be able to see it. All right. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and listen to the video.
Stuff until you don't know. So when I got my house, The backyard didn't have any grass. Why?
Okay, let's listen to this, guys. When she got her house, the backyard did not have any grass. Now, don't be alarmed, okay? Don't be alarmed if your backyard does not have any grass. Why is this the case? Why is this the case, guys? This is the case simply because she probably purchased new construction, right? So my backyard didn't have any grass. Guess why I didn't have any grass? Because I moved in the winter time. I moved in December, right before Christmas. It was right before the holiday week, actually, the holiday weekend. It was that last weekend before Christmas. So, needless to say, grass is dormant in the winter time, guys, right? And so they sodded the front yard and they threw grass seeds in the backyard. Now, a lot of home builders do this to save money. So don't be alarmed. But if I show you a picture of the backyard, I have grass now back there. I actually have an abundance of grass to the point that it needs to be cut. But there was once upon a time when there was no grass to be cut. All right. So just keep that in mind when she says that her backyard had no grass. New construction, sometimes they will not put grass on your backyard. They'll put seeds down. And then on top of those grass seeds, they will put hay down. Why do they do this? Well, straw, not hay, straw. They put the straw down so the seeds will stay and implant into the ground, because a lot of times, like what the birds did in my yard, the birds will come and eat the grass seeds out of the yard. Okay, so let's keep going. So this is one thing that she was saying about purchasing her home. Oh, this is part two. I wanted to show y'all part one. Okay, so we're going to review part two, and then we're going to go back and review part one. Okay, because I didn't realize that this is what I was playing. So she's upset about the grass. Let's keep going, guys.
Why in the world would you build a house and not put grass in the front and back?
Yeah, I don't want to play too much of her, but you could check her out at CWM University. Now, what does that stand for? I have no idea. CWM, I don't know. Go check her out if you want to check her out. She's on YouTube. Let's get past the introduction because I don't want to like just, play her whole video, but let's talk about some of her concerns, okay?
Wow, they make me feel some type of way. Okay. The next one is HOA. I stay in a community that has an HOA fee. If you don't know what HOA stands for, it stands for Home
Homeowners Association. Guys, most new subdivisions right now, if you live in a subdivision community, in most cases, there's going to be an HOA fee attached to that subdivision. All right. And you must pay these HOA fees, because if you don't pay the HOA fees and it goes too long, what they'll do is they'll send your account over to an attorney. If the attorney takes over the account, they'll give you a certain amount of time to pay these HOA fees. If you negate to pay the HOA fees, they can actually take your property. They'll put a lien on your property and they can actually take ownership of your property for not paying the HOA fees. Okay. And there are advantages and disadvantages to HOAs. I think I did a video about this before. Advantages and disadvantages to HOAs. So, for one thing, HOAs can be a hindrance. They can be annoying because you'll get letters, you could get fines, you could get fees because they do have members. And even people in the community can report you to the HOA board if they feel like you're in violation, right? So if you're not upkeeping your grass, your yard, if you're not power washing your house, if you're not making sure that your property is presentable, then these are the reasons that you may be reported to the HOA for not adhering to the CCRs and covenants, right? Um, so this is the reason for HOAs, because some people like to live in a well manicured neighborhood. Now, if you're living in a community that has no HOA, just keep in mind that people can pretty much do what they want on their property, and not too much can be said about it, but you can still call the city or the county, all right? Especially if you think they're in some type of violation. So just be aware of that. The HOA community is going to be a little bit more stringent in their guidelines. Now, some people may like this and some people may not. Oh, what is it, Take a Poo? Hey. All right, let's keep going. She's going to explain the HOA, but I'm just going to kind of skip over some of that because I've just explained it to you. All right. They also regulate things that you have to adhere to as far as getting structures built onto your property, built onto your house. If you get a fence, stuff like that, a storage shed, all these things have to be approved by the HOA board before you get that done.
Cut up something outside my house and didn't tell me. Don't damage my property and not let me know. So that was over with. Then my second grass person never came on a scheduled time. It's just like, are you coming or not? And then I got
Right now, she's upset because, and y'all, what? We go through this, all right? Whenever you have a yard, and if you get someone that's supposed to be doing your yard work, sometimes they might not keep their scheduled times. Sometimes they might not show up. Sometimes they're inconsistent. So, this is why you just have to have multiple yard people, okay? In case one messes up, you have another one on standby for backup. And like I always do, I will, like, if I see people in the neighborhood and they're doing a good job on like one of the neighbors' yards, I'll pull the car over, I'll get out, roll the window down, get their name, get their numbers, because I never know when I might need their services. And by the way, I'm right up the street. I may need your services one day. So that's just a part of it, y'all. Not every person that you contract to do your yard is going to be, up to your standards. Let's just say that, because I've had several people that did not know what they were doing. And sometimes it can get frustrating, y'all. So let's keep going. What else did she have to say about home ownership, guys? She said, I bought my first home alone. Here's what I do differently. Let's keep going.
I call you to pay you to cut my grass. That was the problem. So then my neighbor, I noticed they all got their grass cut like clockwork and they wasn't cutting it. So I got the number of the person who cut their grass. And now they come as clockwork. They cut my grass, I pay them, we good. But that's something else you gotta think about, that if you have a yard, if you gonna cut your
Well, this is true. So, what I would recommend, right? Some people want a yard, some people don't. So if you have a townhouse or a condo, you don't really have to worry about yard work most of the time, because usually the HOA fees that you'll pay covers your yard, especially the front yard. Now, as far as the backyard, I'm not too sure about that. I think they do, but I definitely know that they usually take care of that landscaping and they take care of that front yard, because, you know, usually townhomes and condos have a more usually more expensive HOA, to be honest. But if you don't feel like dealing with yard work, you can always hire landscapers, someone to do that for you. But I would always say, as a backup plan, make sure you still have the tools to work on your yard. Like, make sure you invest into a lawnmower. Okay, it doesn't have to be the fanciest, but it needs to get the job done. Make sure you have like an edge trimmer or weed trimmer, just things like that, because you will need these tools to make your yard look presentable and nice and freshly manicured, y'all. Okay. And I will say this, sometimes doing yard work is therapeutic. Planting flowers, just making your yard looks nice. It actually is exercise. You're out in greenery, you're getting sunlight, you're getting fresh air. All of that can actually be therapeutic. Let's keep going, guys. So it's just up to you, whatever your preference is. So don't let this scare you, dissuade you, make you fearful of any, type of real estate that you wish to own in your near future, because you do have options when it comes to this. Okay.
self, which I tried. And I was proud of myself when I did cut my grass, but I was tired, and I actually think I might be allergic to grass. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So these are some things that you're gonna pay for. Speaking of grass, so I got the sprinklers for the grass, and I forgot to mention I have gutters. I also got gutters put on in my house, so that was another expense. I didn't think about I might need gutters to make the water flow off my roof in a certain way.
So gutters should automatically come on the house. And this is something that's concerning to me because in her first video, she tells how she ended up purchasing. She said that she was talking to a guy. He told her what type of property he had. He said that his property was actually he was paying less in his mortgage payments than in rent, right? So this sparked her interest. He gave her the name of his realtor. She reached out to the realtor. Now, she didn't really specify is if she actually continued to use the realtor, because what it sounds like to me is that she purchased new construction, right? This is what it sounds like, which is why she didn't have grass in her backyard. Now, as far as gutters being missing off of the house, what this sounds like to me, guys, and I wasn't there when she purchased, but it sounds like she did not have a proper home inspection, because if she had a proper home inspection, because even if you purchase new construction, we all know that it's still recommended that you get a home inspection. And who's going to pay for that? The buyer does. So a home inspection is typically about $500, and the $500 is worth the investment, especially if you're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for a house. I think that home inspection is definitely worth every penny that you'll spend to basically help you, right, in this investment that you're about to make. The home inspector would definitely be privy to the missing gutters, and they would have that home builder to actually implement those gutters onto that house before the day of closing. It does not sound like this took place in her situation, which is a point of concern for me. So that's why I'm wondering, did she actually use a realtor when she purchased this new construction home? Because that's exactly what this sounds like. There's no way that a house should be sold without gutters, y'all. And this should have been caught in the inspection. Let's keep going. She should not have had to pay for that out of pocket. And if she did, she should be reimbursed. And I don't know if anybody was around her to help advocate for her in that situation. All right, let me check my phone for a second, guys, because I'm supposed to have a delivery coming. But let her keep talking.
To make sure it's not causing flooding around my house. Who knew? I did. It was a lot of things I did not know that came with getting out. But anyway, back to these HOA fees. So you pay my HOA. I pay once a year, and somebody comes around and tells you, "Oh, your grass too high," or "Your trash can's in the wrong spot," or "You need to move this and that." One good thing about having HOA is that your neighborhood more than likely won't look trashy. They're not gonna let people pile up cars in their yard, pile up trash, and not clean it up. They're going to be on top of it and get with you about it. But HOA gets tricky. You don't pay your HOA fees. You can get a lien on your house, and then people will try to take your house. So if there's HOA fees, they're non-negotiable. You have to pay them. So when you go looking for houses, you need to find.
Okay, we already covered that, right? She's talking about the HOA. So now she's going to point out the PMI, what makes up a mortgage payment, guys. We went over this, I think, in the last week's discussion. So just to quickly, briefly go over that, she's talking about PMI. What is PMI? It's private mortgage insurance. That's what it stands for. So whenever you borrow money to have a loan on the house, you're paying for insurance on that house, right? And you're paying insurance on that loan for borrowing that money from the lender. All right, that's what this is. Now, to avoid PMI, if you have a conventional loan, you will need to put down 20% on that house. A lot of people don't automatically have 20% of the loan, 20% to put down. So this is why they pay the PMI, the private mortgage insurance. Now, just to review this again, Once you pay down 20% of that loan, you can actually call the lender and ask them to remove the PMI, the private mortgage insurance. This can have your house payment to drop down by a few hundreds of dollars, a couple of $100s, right? So if you weren't aware of that, now you are aware of it. Private mortgage insurance is one of the things you're going to be paying. You're also going to be paying taxes on that house. That is usually allocated in your house payment. Now, some people like to pay their taxes separately, or could potentially pay their taxes separately, but usually this is all divvied up and allocated in your mortgage payment. Another thing that you'll be paying. So you have the mortgage insurance, the taxes, you'll be, and interest on the loan. Okay. And of course, if you don't just have a couple of $100,000 saved up to pay on a house in cash, you're going to be paying interest on the loan just like you pay interest on a car. If you don't have, tens of thousands of dollars to purchase a car, same thing with the house. All right, so that's pretty much what she's talking about right here. Now, if you have an FHA loan, which most first time home buyers do have an FHA loan, you're going to have what's called MIP, which we went over last week. It's called mortgage insurance premium. Again, MIP, mortgage insurance premium, guys, similar to the private mortgage insurance. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Why your mortgage payments increase. So I think I talked about this on the last episode, if I'm not mistaken. Your mortgage payments can increase because of the escrow shortage. How does an escrow shortage occur, guys? An escrow shortage can occur if you have um, a property that is accruing in equity. So when they start building up, the area around your home and your neighborhood, this can cause your property value to go up or to increase. When your property value goes up and it increases, this causes your taxes to go up and increase. Okay. So this can cause your mortgage payment to increase. Usually it's not by a couple of hundreds of dollars like a lot of people keep saying. Normally it's an incremental increase. Um, I'm trying to think what else. Your insurance. So if your insurance on your house increases, then that can also cause your mortgage payments to increase. What you can do is you can shop around for different homeowners insurance. You have a right to do that, okay, as a consumer. And you can shop around and compare the difference in prices and pick the one that works the best for you, right? And this is how you can lessen your mortgage payments. Now, as far as rent is concerned, I don't know if you can shop around and get cheaper rent for the same apartment, but you can do this for your mortgage, okay? So just be mindful of that. Also, another thing that I want to point out, like I pointed out before, you can also pay money towards your escrow account so that your mortgage can stay the same, right? So if you're paying $1,500, $1,800, $2,000, and they say that you have a shortage in the escrow account, so what they'll do is they'll increase your mortgage payment to cover that shortage. You can actually pay money towards the escrow, and they will allocate those funds where they need to go. And this will actually help your mortgage payments go back down to where they were. Okay. So talk to your mortgage lender, guys, because there are options available for you out here if you're dealing with if you're dealing with these scenarios. A lot of people are not privy to that. So this is what she's going to be talking about, why your mortgage payment will increase. All right, and then she's talking about the home buying process. Let's go on to the home buying process, guys. Let's hear what she has to say here.
To buy a house and you get under contract, they tell you don't spend any money and they get into your business. My mama always told me to mind my business. But these people, they're trying to give you a loan for a house, they do not mind their business. They want to know everything. What was this deposit for? where are your accounts? So I have multiple accounts. If you've looked at any of my videos on my channel, if you've been here for a while, you know I'm very into finances. I have multiple accounts. So when I got ready to buy my house, I just told them about the main accounts, like where my check was deposited into and stuff like that. That's it. One day.
Guys, when you go to purchase a home, please keep in mind, okay, they're dropping off my order right now. Please keep in mind that they are going to find out everything about you as far as your accounts, usually because you have to give your social security number to apply for the loan. Okay, just like when you apply for a car, just like you apply for a credit card, they're checking your finances. So, what do you think they're going to do if you're applying for hundreds of thousands of dollars for a loan on a house? They're going to make sure that you can afford this loan. So if you're hiding accounts, there's no reason. Okay, so they just dropped it off. So there's no reason to think that they're not going to find this information out, right? They're going to find out all types of things about your finances. If you have any open loans that you're paying on, any credit cards that you're paying on, any student loans will show up, any medical bills will show up, okay? Everything about your finances is going to show up. I remember when I, applied for my house, I had to tell them about all the accounts that I had as well because they want to take a look at your financial portfolio and situation to see how you are going to afford this loan, right? And so it only makes sense that they would do this. They're going to ask you about your investments, your 401k, if you have an IRA, any retirement accounts, right? How are you going to pull from it to do your down payment or your closing costs? They want to make sure that you can secure these things, right? Because they have a job to do. And if they're underwriting this loan, they want to make sure they're doing the right thing. Hence, this is what happened back in 2008 when the housing crash happened. A lot of people could not they could secure the loan, but they could not maintain the loans. So, anytime you go to purchase a house, they pull your credit 3 different times. Once at the beginning process to get your pre-approval, the second time to go to underwriting. The third time is usually right around closing, right before closing, or the day of closing. This is why they tell you do not open any accounts before you close on your house, because this could be the make it or break it situation. This could be the difference between you getting your house and closing and you not being able to close. All right. And this has happened to people before. So that's basically what she's talking about right here. All right, guys, I actually need to go get my order from outside. So if you're on TikTok, I'm going to have to step away for it for a second. If you're on YouTube, I'm going to play the video, okay? And I'm going to step away for a moment.
Get a phone call from the person that was the underwriter or something. I guess that's what you call them. If I'm saying it wrong, you can correct me in the comments. But it was like, what about this account? And I'm like, how the heck they found that account? How you know about that account? I didn't tell them. So when you get ready to ask you to list all your accounts, don't try to be smart like me and not list them all. They will find it. Those people are going to be in your business. In your business, I'm telling you. So just get ready, because they was asking me so many private questions and personal questions about my money. I really was like, you know what? I'll just get an apartment and just keep moving in apartments, because why you need to know? Who made you the person that needs to know everything? But it's just part of buying a house. So when you get ready to close and they say don't spend any money, don't spend it. You do not want to mess up that closing process. So they say, tell them all your accounts, tell them all your accounts. Don't spend money, don't spend money. You also have to consider that you have to pay closing costs. You might have to put a down payment on. Sometimes, depending on where you buy a house and like what kind of offerings they have, especially with new builds, sometimes they'll cover the closing costs. Sometimes they'll throw some things in. Like for my house, they include a refrigerator and a stove, which I'm so thankful for. There's one more thing I didn't have to buy. But when you get ready to look at these houses, you need to know what will they cover and what will you have to cover. Also, when you get approved for a loan for a house, if they approve you for $360,000, but you know your budget is only going to be able to comfortably cover $300,000 worth of house, don't go get that $360,000. They will let you get it because you have been approved for it. Stay within a budget. Make sure you have your budget and your amounts of what you can afford because they will let you buy it. I promise you, they'll let you buy it. Also, when you get ready to close on your house, if there's things that you want them to fix, because you'll go through your house, whether it's new or pre-owned, and there may be things like different little paint jobs, or maybe this door is slanted, or this door doesn't lock, or this sink doesn't drain. Whatever you need fixed, make sure it gets fixed before you sign your name on that line. Because it's gonna be very hard to get these people back out to your house to fix this stuff. Sometimes they may want to.
All right, guys. So I just want to touch on that very quickly because she brought up a good point. It sounds like she went into new construction. And so whatever she needed done should have been done before closing. And so I've had this situation or scenario with my clients because a lot of these new home builders will they are under like a time limit demand. So there are a certain amount of houses that they have to close in that month. And y'all, I'm telling you, down to the week. Like, I was talking to the project manager at one of the walkthroughs, and he was telling us how, yeah, we just closed on this house, and all these houses that they have to close on. And I don't agree with it, okay? But this is what they're doing with new construction homes. They are basically treating it like a conveyor belt. So I would just say be very careful with that. When they say they're going to fix something or they're going to take care of something, get it in writing, okay? Because as a realtor, I was there for my clients whenever they said they were going to make these repairs. Um, I made sure that I wrote it down. I think we had them to email it so we could have it documented, and I just wanted to make sure they were covered because all of this stuff that they're doing with that house, any repairs that they need to make, should normally be done before closing, before they get the keys to that property. But y'all, they're under such, I'm telling y'all, it doesn't normally happen like that. They're under such time constraints that they will be working on the house the day of closing. I have witnessed this, working on the house the day of closing. I remember my clients, their house came with appliances as well, and they had hardwood floors in their house. So what ended up happening when they went to move the appliances around, they accidentally scratched and scraped up their hardwood flooring. When we went in there the day of closing, They I think it was the day of closing. They actually, or was no, it was the walkthrough, I believe. We went in there for the walkthrough. I think it was the walkthrough. Trying to remember because it was a while ago, y'all, a few years back. Anyway, they were actually in there with hammers and they were taking up the floor, so they could lay down more hardwood on the floor because they had scratched it all up, and that's the only thing they could do. I mean, and that took time. Um, so they did complete it. They made sure they finished it because I checked on the client, I checked on everything. She said that they did leave sawdust down, from like the new, I guess like from all the new stuff that they were doing, they just had sawdust, I guess, that was still, that needed to be cleaned up or whatever. So I made sure I checked on them throughout the whole process. I know they were having, some discrepancy with the lender. So whenever and they used the lender of the home builder, by the way. So whenever they were having an issue or they had a concern, it seemed like when I got involved, they were able to get their questions answered and they were able to get stuff done. Sometimes if you really don't have a realtor advocating for you, you can kind of get placed on the back burner a little bit. So just be mindful of stuff like that, y'all. I also want to point out, you can also get what's called a pre-drywall inspection. I've talked about this before. Whenever you have a house built, so when the foundation goes up and they have not even put in the drywall yet, before that drywall goes in, you can get a pre-drywall inspection, right? And a lot of people are not aware of that. But I think that's very important to know because and these houses go up so fast nowadays with the new construction. And you just want to make sure people are doing things the correct way. Because if you're not around, they will cover stuff up. And I know this too. I know this for a fact to happen. They will cover stuff up because they think that you don't know what's going on. You don't know any better. We're just going to cover it up. And this can even happen with a pre-built home. There are people that do like these makeshift renovations or these unlicensed contractors, and they will, go in and act like they're fixing things and renovating a house. And you can tell when they didn't do it properly because I've gone into houses just like this past weekend. I posted a clip. We went into that house, and yes, they did do some updates, but as we were walking the floor, and that's what I always like to do with the clients, I like to walk the floor. And I feel if, that floors feel solid, if it feels sound, and I'm very lightweight, y'all. But as I'm walking that floor, I'm trying to pay attention to any softness in that floor. Does the floor give? Does the floor slant? Because if so, there could be potential foundation issues. He said, give you old materials and take the new stuff home. So that's another thing. Yes, Trissy, I can work with my own clients. I can pick and choose my clients. That's the great thing about real estate, y'all. Because my motto is this: I only want to work with clients that want to work with me. If you are a difficult client, chances are you're just a difficult person in general, and I don't want to deal with it. All money is not good money. All money is not worth it, y'all. I'd rather refer them to someone else that wants to deal with their attitudes. Luckily for me, all my clients, we have worked together okay, and we haven't had any issues. But, I always tell my clients, if something's not working out, just let me know. I'm very responsive. You could text me, call me, send me a voice clip. I'll do the same. You can email me, leave me a voicemail. I just want to make sure that we have an understanding. I'm getting your questions answered because you might not know everything. I might not know the answer right then and there, but I'm going to definitely get you your answer. And that's very important in the process as well. So, yes, definitely. But yeah, let's continue to hear what she's talking about, y'all.
Rush you like, we need to get it closed by this day or your interest rate's gonna go up. Well, great. Get on your contractors and get this stuff completed.
Okay, so that's another thing that new construction builders will do. Just be mindful of the sales representatives that work in the new construction homes because some of those are licensed real estate agents or realtors that actually represent the builder. They do not represent the buyer. We talked about this before. And you need someone to advocate for you. And people are not aware of this either, but the new construction builders pay the buyer's agent. So if you are thinking about buying new construction, that builder pays the realtor. Okay. So you might not have to pay anything to the realtor, but a lot of times people don't know that, right? So the new construction builders that I've worked with, they paid me. They paid my commission. The buyers did not have to come out of their pocket to pay me, y'all. So just understand that too. Most of the time they're going to pay your commission. So you don't have to go back and forth with the buyer. Because a lot of times first time home buyers are very stretched for money, like when it comes to purchasing a house, especially if it's their first time purchasing. So just be mindful of that. Now, like to her point, when she was saying that they are pushing to get closing done, so you can keep that rate. A lot of times, new construction builders do offer lower rates, right? But there's a reason how they're able to do that. They finagle that because they use their own lender, so they push you to use their lenders to get those rates. And the way that they explain it is like it seems like you're saving money, right? Because they say, oh, you don't have to come up with what is it, that down payment money, right? You might have to do closing, or they might credit some towards the closing. It is built into the structure of that loan, which is what they don't tell you, right? So, this is why it's really good to have a licensed realtor there to advocate for you, because they might be able to connect you with a lender that can actually help you in that transaction, especially to find out what is more advantageous for you in your financial circumstances and situation. Also, I want to point out, um, even though they're rushing her to hurry up and get it closed, that's not her fault that they are lagging behind in their time limit demand for these closings. So, what they will do, because this happened to my sister, they'll rush you to closing, right? Because they have a deadline and they're not done fixing the house, right? There are certain things that they're supposed to tend to on that house that has not gotten done. So what they'll tell you is, "Oh, we'll come back and fix it," right? This is what she was talking about in her video. My thing is like this. I always say, get it documented in writing for your own protection. That's what I had done for my clients. Also, um you can get what's called a rate lock in. Like my clients got their rate locked in for 6 months. Usually your house is done within 6 months because they're a lot faster building houses now. It's getting to the point, to this particular point in time, where they're talking about making building houses in upwards of 4 months. Yeah, I don't agree with this, but this is what's going on. They have found more creative ways, I guess, more economical ways to get these houses constructed in a shorter amount of time. Because it used to be between 6 and 9 months that they build a house. Now it has gone down to 6 months, and I think they've cut that down as well. So I just want y'all to be aware of it. If you're thinking about new construction, I would highly advise you to seek out a realtor so that they can advocate for you through the process. That's why I'm talking about it, because it sounds like she might have been caught off guard with some of the things that she experienced as a first time home buyer getting new construction. And like I said, I don't know where her realtor was through this process, but definitely the realtor needs to be very present. And they think that realtors don't do anything with new construction, but realtors are still working behind the scenes for you, because there are a lot of things that we have to orchestrate. And so I just think that's very important. A lot of times the home builder, they will send you pictures of your house and the different stages in the process. They'll let you know, okay, we got your windows in, all right, we're putting in your appliances. They'll keep you abreast on the different process that's going on with the house as well, especially if you're not in town while this construction is going on. Because when I got my house, I was actually out of town while my house was getting built. So it's just, different strokes for different folks, y'all. Whatever floats your boat. Some people like new construction, some people don't. I think there are advantages and disadvantages in any scenario, right? All right, let's keep going, guys.
Completed. Because I'm not signing my name until you have everything I asked you for completed. Make sure you get that stuff. Go ahead and get it taken care of, because you don't want those issues. And when it's time to get your house inspected, when you're going through that little process of closing and getting everything fixed and making sure everything's up to par, make sure you get an independent home inspector.
Yes.
Don't go with the inspector of the builder.
Right.
Or whoever's selling you the house.
Exactly.
Get somebody that's outside of that, so they can give you a good inspection and not try to hide things because they're in cahoots with the person that's selling you the house. Make sure you have an independent inspector for sure. Now, before you buy, some things to consider when you're trying to look for a house. Do you need sidewalks? Is sidewalks in your neighborhood important? Are you gonna want to go outside and walk around and exercise?
Okay, all of those things are definitely up to you. You know what you want, you know what you don't want, you know what your needs are, what your wants are, what you're willing to compromise on. But I just thought this was a good video to watch because, I guess she might feel like she made some type of mistakes or something.
Do you want to stay from your job? These are all things to think about.
Just always remember location, location, location. Location is everything. Location drives real estate. Location actually determines the price of your home. We all know that. The more affluent side of town, you're going to pay more. Why do you pay more in the more affluent side of town? Because you have all the things over there, right? You have your convenience, People talk about being in a safe neighborhood. So you're going to pay for these things. So it's very important to make sure you take this into account when looking for houses. It's kind of common sense, right? But sometimes people act like they don't understand this stuff, but we all know what it takes to get what you want for your money, okay? So just think about location as number one because you cannot change the location of that home. School districts are important for a lot of people that have children. And so if that's something important, then you want to do your research on that. If safety is important, your realtor really cannot really comment too much on that because then they're in violation of like ethics. Okay. They don't want us talking about these things. So they're going to point you into the direction on where you can go to find this information. If safety is an issue, if you want to know about the schools, they're going to tell you where you can find this information. Okay. Talk to the neighbors, y'all. Or if what my realtor told me when I first purchased is go sit or go to the neighborhood at night. Go sit in the neighborhood at night. See how you feel. Do you feel safe? Ladies, especially if you're a woman and you're doing this alone, um, see how you feel. Because I know when I went looking, I came out of town to look for my house and the neighborhood, we looked around. First, I did the Google street walk and I was looking at the things that were in the area. Did I see, ABC stores? Was there a laundromat? Was there a car wash? There's just certain things that I look for, right? Um, and then physically going to ride through the neighborhood. So I rode through the neighborhood and it was just certain things I wasn't really feeling. The house was okay. The house was not the issue too much. I just didn't feel right about that neighborhood. So you know what I did? She departed me. This was on a Sunday evening. I'll never forget it. She left. Something said, "You know what? I'm going to check out these new homes that they've been marketing and advertising." I don't advise y'all to do this, y'all. Don't do this without your realtor. I did this without my realtor. I went and I text the people or called them or something. So they didn't even have the location on the map at the time. So they had to send me like a little pin drop or whatever. And I pulled it up some type of way and I was able to navigate my way to the location of the sales office and in the neighborhood. And I went in that sales office and I sat there and I sat there and I was waiting and nobody really acknowledged me for real because I don't know if they were taking me seriously. So finally somebody said, "We'll be with you." Oh, I was like, okay. So by the end of it all, y'all, I had signed a contract. I had put down my earnest money deposit on the house. Basically, I was going on a contract on that house without my realtor, and she didn't even know it. But luckily, the sales agent was like, "Are you working with a realtor?" And I said yes. He was like, "Well, why isn't she here?" I didn't say anything. But he did call her, he notified her, and, she was able to guide me through that process as well. So this is why I always say, you definitely wanna have a realtor for you. Um, Also, yeah, get a home inspection outside of the because they're gonna do an inspection with you. They're gonna do their own inspection, but you wanna have your own independent inspection done, and it's definitely worth it to spend the money for that inspection, guys, okay? Very important.
If you think about some other things I haven't mentioned that you need to consider when buying a house, put in the comments so that these first time home buyers can look through this list and consider all these things before they go and try to get a house. I've been in this house for a while. Would I buy this house again? Most days, the answer is yes. When like things like my AC break down, I gotta figure out why my dishwasher not draining. I get frustrated. I'm like, I should have just stayed in the apartment.
Okay, hold on. No, let's not say that, okay? You shouldn't have stayed in the apartment, no. People say that because of the maintenance issues. Now, she got a new house. So really a lot of this stuff should be under warranty. Now, I don't know. Usually the warranty covers your appliances as well for up to a year, but you can get a home. Remember, we talked about this before, guys. You can get a home owner's warranty that still covers these things. So and she said her sink is not draining or something, or her garbage disposal. Y'all, that's an easy fix. It might be different for her because she's not accustomed to these things and it can be a little aggravating and inconvenient, but I think she'll be okay. I really do.
apartment. But I really do love my house. But if I had to do it all over again from the jump, I would have made sure that I knew what I want my payment to be. And I would have had 20% saved in my high yield savings account. If you don't know what a high yield savings account is, I'm going to link it in the description. And here's what the cover of the video looks like. So you can go back on my channel and see about high yield savings account. So I would have put that 20% in that high yield savings account, started building it, building it. So it can be making money while I'm trying to be in the process of looking for a house. So I would definitely say that 20%. And then I also would think like, I would try to estimate, like if I knew I wanted my mortgage to be no higher than 1,500. So I would do 1,500 times 3 plus, let's say that I knew that my utilities could possibly be $500 a month. I hope your utilities is not that high. I don't know how long you keep air on and stuff like that. So say I want to say that my mortgage is 1,500 a month and my utilities is gonna be 500. So let's say 2,000. So I will also save 3 months of $2,000. So that's my expenses. So that's $6,000. So whatever that 20% is plus $6,000, save enough money. So when I got in the house, Lord forbid, but say I lost my job, I could at least keep up with my house and my utilities for 3 months while I'm looking for another job. You don't want to get into a house, spend all your money, and have nothing. You can't buy nothing. You're sitting on the floor. You're sleeping on the floor because you didn't plan that there's a lot more to go into this house. And all of that money, of course, I'll be putting in a high yield savings account. So it's making money while I'm trying to make these moves. So if you have any good advice, good sound advice for a first time homeowner, leave it in the comments. So I know some people out there that got their first house and they got into it and it was like, what? I didn't know all of this was going to be this.
Yeah, I mean, planning is always good. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Yes. Yeah, guys, I just wanted to go over that with you. I'm going to stop the video here. She has a part one. We just watched part two. So sorry. Well, excuse me for going in the opposite direction, but I think I'm going to stop it here. How long have I been on here? 51 minutes, almost an hour. So I just feel like that's long enough, right? And then maybe next time we'll come on and explore. Sorry, y'all. Next time we'll come on and explore her other video, which is the part one video. And I'll talk about that as well. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see me. Whoever Sake MM2 is, you said say hi if you see this. Yeah, buddy, I'm out. Look, if I have a video playing and I'm in the midst of talking and educating and teaching about real estate because I'm live streaming on my real estate channel, which is really why I'm doing the video because it's Real Estate Wednesdays. This is an extra caveat from my other channel. Okay. So for you to say, yeah, buddy, I'm out, we'll be out then. Okay. I didn't see your comment. And I'm not gonna stop a video in the midst of the audience watching and the viewers and stop talking just to say hi to you because I'm not rude like that, but you're being rude by coming in here with the nonsense. You said HOA's been a problem since the 90s. Infinite energy. Imagine buying a house and still having to answer to Karen. First time home buyers experience. So, what about newly developed areas that are still being built? Newly developed areas that are still being built will more than likely have HOAs unless they're in more rural areas. So, there are still houses out here that are new houses that do not have HOAs, but they are like more on the outskirts and they are, you know, they got their own little bit of land with them. So you can still find those. What's good, Trissy? I think I answered your question. Yes, I can pick my own clients. Let me see. Give you old materials and stuff. 100, huh? Interesting. That was good info. Thanks. Thank you, Superfin guy. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad you got something out of it. Please consider liking the video if this is helpful, y'all. If you want me to talk about more things or any other information concerning real estate, please let me know. And now I also want to talk about the final walkthrough. Okay. The final walkthrough is actually what's going to be scheduled within 3 days of closing. Why is this the case? Why do we want to schedule this final walkthrough within 3 days of closing? Because at this particular time, you want to make sure that house is in the shape that you approve it to be in before you go to that closing table and sign those documents. There has been instances, y'all, where the inspector may have come in, or like a contractor has come in to do work on a property, forgot and left water running and flooded the floors in the house. Okay? So this is why you do walkthroughs, because that house needs to be in the same condition as you agreed upon when you went under contract, and you're doing your negotiation phase, and you're agreeing to like repair work and stuff. You want to make sure the repairs were done. This is another reason for the final walkthrough. You want to make sure your repairs are done. Another thing that I advised the client the other day is to make sure, because she's a first time home buyer. She actually, yeah, it's very interesting with her situation. I was, I felt very, let me see, what's the word? I felt very, it was like a pleasure for me to show her her very first house. She said she had never gone and looked at a house before. So this was her first time. The very first house that she saw is the very first house that she's under contract with, y'all. Interesting, because most people don't do that. Um, we went and looked at another one which was updated, upgraded. She wanted that house. She had it in her head that that's the house she wanted, and that is the house that she's under contract for. So anyway, I advised her to bring her oh, my live is going to end in 5 minutes on TikTok, y'all. I'm going to end this soon. I advised her to actually bring her inspection report with her. Bring a copy of that inspection report. Why do you want that inspection report? Because you want to make sure that the things that are on that inspection report, if it was written up in the contractual agreement to have it fixed under your due diligence period, that it's actually been tended to, like they've actually done those repairs. You also want to make sure that your realtor writes in the contract, when you're going back and forth with the other realtor, which is your negotiation period, is to make sure it's done by licensed contractors, right? Licensed contractors doing these repairs. You don't want somebody that thinks they know what they're doing and they really don't. I've seen some very terrible work where it's just not good work, right? So you want to make sure it's done by a licensed contractor. That should be common sense. And it was something else that I wanted to point out, but it escapes me right now, y'all. I'm kind of tired. But these are just the things that you want to do to protect your client, to protect yourself, y'all. If you are a first time home buyer, you might be a little intimidated by all of this because it's a lot coming at you. It's a lot of dates and it's a lot of dates and time frames that you have to adhere to. And you want to make sure, because once you go into contract, time is of the essence, right? So we always want to make sure that things are moving and being orchestrated behind the scenes so that we can get to closing on time. Not to try to rush closing, but just to make sure that things are going according to plan. Because, we can have setbacks, things can come up, but we want to make sure that we have enough time built into the due diligence period to be able to address these things if something were to go awry. All right. Because we want to make sure the day of closing, you can get your keys. You don't want, because this has happened. I've heard a story where the clients thought they were going to get their keys, could not close, already had the U-Haul, already had the movers. Y'all could not go into their house the day of closing, unfortunately. So this is why, a lot of times it seems like it's a rush, rush, rush situation, but really it's really your realtor working behind the scenes with the lender, with underwriting, with the closing attorney, with the contractors and vendors, inspectors, trying to make sure this whole thing is orchestrated and stays afloat for you so that you can get what you want on the day that you want to move in. And normally, who sets the closing date? That's a good question, right? Who sets the closing date? The buyer. The buyer. So I remember my first time closing. I asked my client, what's a good day for him to close. Y'all, he didn't care. He was just so busy with work. He was like, I don't know. What do you think is a good day? He's just like, pick a day. That man is a trip, y'all, to this day. But yeah, so it's things like this that a lot of people don't think about. First time home buyers are not thinking about, oh, picking out their day of closing. They're not thinking about the title attorney. They're not thinking about, what office they're going to close at, what date and time they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about this house, what they want with this house, making sure the house is, everything that they want, the price that they want. They're thinking about that. They're not thinking about, oh, now I have to contact an inspector, and where am I going to get this inspector from? I don't know any inspectors. I don't know if we have to get contract work done, what contractors to reach out to. A lot of times they're not thinking about that stuff unless they are in that field, right? And then what's another thing? Oh, the appraisal. They are not just sitting around like having a bunch of appraisals on their team that they can work with. So this is what the realtor does for the buyer, y'all. We go through a lot to get y'all to that closing table, whether you think so or not. It can be very stressful. It is like a roller coaster ride. I'm not going to, lie, but it is a very rewarding feeling when we make it to the attorney's office and you get to, make it to that closing table and you get your keys and you have your house. Especially if this is your very first time, y'all. It's nothing like the very first time having your house. It's so special, and that is like a start to your new future, especially if you've never done it before. So it's just a great thing, and y'all, it's very rewarding. I love, 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 love working with my clients. um So that is it, y'all. I'm going to go in here. I've been on here for an hour. I'm going to go eat my food. If you're new to my TikTok, please consider following me. Please consider reaching out to me for more real estate advice, more real estate tips. If I can't help you because I'm only licensed in a certain state, then I can maybe help reach or advocate for you to have another realtor. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call in another state that could help you out. Hold on, let me put this on do not disturb. I don't know why somebody would call me while I'm on live. But anyway, maybe she's watching, maybe she's not. I don't know. But she just tried to call me. I have to go eat, y'all. I'm very hungry. So I'm going to sign out. Haben Sie alles einen guten Nacht. You all have a good night. That's how we say it in German or auf Deutsch, okay? All right, this is your real estate queen signing out of TikTok and your real estate queen signing off of YouTube. Okay. Thank you all. Y'all have a good night. Have a blessed day. And hopefully, we will be back on here next Wednesday. Next Wednesday at 7 is what I would like to say. Next Wednesday at 7 is when I want to do these. All right, y'all. Signing out. Have a good night, y'all.